Mark sat in the parking garage for 3 hours doing math. Sarah's pregnancy timeline, the life insurance policy she'd made him take out for the baby's future. 2 weeks before the miscarriage, the promotion he'd turned down to be present for the family. The inheritance from his mother, $340 that she'd convinced him to put in their joint account for family security just days after the positive test. Each piece clicked into place. He didn't confront her. Instead, Mark became methodical. He created a private folder on a cloud drive only he could access. He photographed everything: the hospital file, the memorial shelf, the ultrasound photos Sarah claimed were from her appointments. He checked their bank statements and found large transfers to an account he didn't recognize. He hired a private investigator using cash from his separate emergency account. The investigator's report arrived 2 weeks later. Sarah had been visiting a fertility clinic for the past 2 years. The medical records the investigator obtained through legal channels showed she was infertile due to premature ovarian failure condition she'd been diagnosed with 3 years ago, before their wedding. She had known from the beginning that she couldn't have children naturally. Mark dug deeper with the investigator's help. Sarah's student loans totaled $187,000. She had 3 credit cards he'd never known about, all maxed out. The investigator traced unusual activity to offshore gambling sites she'd been betting heavily on sports and losing. The account Mark had seen in their bank transfers belonged to a loan shark. The life insurance policy on Mark was worth $2 million, with Sarah as the sole beneficiary. The miscarriage had occurred exactly 30 days after the policy's 2-year suicide clause expired. Mark pulled out their prenuptial agreement, something his lawyer had insisted on before the wedding. He read through it carefully. Clause 7b stated, "Material deception regarding reproductive capability or pregnancy status voids all marital financial entitlements and obligations." His lawyer had explained it was standard protection. Sarah had signed it without much discussion. Mark realized she'd either not read it or hadn't thought he'd ever discover her lies. He started protecting himself financially. He opened a new bank account and redirected his direct deposit. He changed the beneficiaries on his life insurance and retirement accounts back to his sister. He worked with a lawyer to transfer his mother's inheritance into an irrevocable trust with himself as the sole beneficiary. Sarah, busy planning a healing vacation to Bali, didn't notice the changes. She was too focused on her Instagram account, where she documented her grief journey with photos of empty nurseries and tear-stained journals. Mark saved screenshots of every post. Mark called Dr. Evans and asked to meet privately. In the doctor's office, he showed him the hospital file. Dr. Evans turned pale. "I need to be honest with you. I never treated your wife for a miscarriage. She came in with heavy menstrual bleeding. After the examination, she pulled me aside and asked me to play along if you called or visited. She said you were controlling and she needed a medical excuse to create distance. I thought I was helping someone in an abusive situation. I'm horrified to learn the truth. Dr. Evans provided a sworn affidavit detailing exactly what had happened that day, what Sarah had actually been treated for, and her request for him to mislead Mark. The doctor admitted he'd made a terrible error in judgment and wanted to help correct it. Mark suggested marriage counseling to Sarah. "We need to heal together," he said. Sarah agreed eagerly. In their third session, with the therapist present, Mark asked gentle questions. "Do you ever think about trying again? Maybe adopting?" Sarah launched into detailed descriptions of her trauma, describing how she'd held their daughter as she passed, the tiny features she'd seen, the funeral she'd planned in her heart. Mark recorded every session on his phone, placed discreetly in his jacket pocket on the table. His forensic accountant found more problems. Sarah had taken out a second mortgage on their house, forging Mark's signature on the documents. She'd opened 3 credit lines in both their names without his knowledge. The Bali trip she'd been planning had one-way tickets, not round-trip. She'd recently tried to increase Mark's life insurance policy to $3 million. The investigator found disturbing search history on her laptop, undetectable poisons. How long until life insurance pays out, making accidental overdose look natural. On their anniversary, Mark took Sarah to the restaurant where he'd proposed. After dinner, he pulled out the framed pregnancy test. "I was thinking about our daughter tonight." Sarah's eyes filled with tears right on cue. Then Mark slid the hospital file across the table. "I got a copy of the hospital records. Funny thing, they have no record that she ever existed." Sarah's face didn't crumble. It hardened. Her tears stopped mid. Her eyes went from soft to sharp in an instant. She studied his face, calculating. "What do you want, Mark?" She tried multiple approaches. "First, I was terrified you'd leave me if you knew I couldn't have children." I panicked when he showed her the loan documents and forged signatures. "I had debts I was ashamed of." When he showed her the life insurance increase attempts, that was just anxiety about the future. Finally, when he played the counseling session recordings alongside Dr. Evans's affidavit. "Okay, how much do you want to walk away quietly?" Mark didn't want money. The next morning he filed a police report for fraud and forgery. He sent the insurance company a complete evidence packet showing attempted insurance fraud. He filed the prenuptial agreement violation with the court, including all evidence of her deception about fertility. He notified their bank about the forged signatures. Each report triggered automatic investigations and account freezes. Sarah went on the offensive. She told their friends and family that Mark was abusive and was punishing her for losing their baby. She created a GoFundMe titled "Help Me Escape Abuse" and raised $12,000 in 3 days. Then Mark released his evidence packet, the hospital records, Dr. Evans's affidavit, the financial documents, her search history, and her own Instagram posts with timestamps matched against her laptop searches. He sent it to everyone who'd donated, to both families, to their mutual friends. The GoFundMe was flagged and frozen within hours. Donors demanded refunds. Her sister called her, screaming her parents stopped answering her calls. Their friends blocked her on social media. The public support evaporated as quickly as it had appeared.